whenever I make one of these videos, I always forget why I'm doing them. I keep thinking of all of the YouTube celebrities, and not gonna happen with me for lots of reasons. Thinking mainly about Trump and how in recent times and days, months, the media is being exposed more and more for the lies that it's told, but not particularly anything different to what has always been happening in the media, but it's more prevalent. The veil is lifted slightly. The wool isn't as thick. It's not as easily pulled over people's eyes. More and more people are waking up to the idea that they are being lied to. But more and more people, you realise, as the more people who wake up to the idea of these things that they are being lied to about, the more the dynamic shifts of how the perception of what was previously accepted disappears. So you've got all of these really sort of minor or big YouTube stars coming into the foreground who are now gaining popularity, and this is what will happen always. It's a constant cycle. It never truly stops, whereby someone like PewDiePie will get recognition by mainstream media, and then his career will take off. Even though his career is already taken off, it will take off into either greater heights. And this is how you reach superstardom, and this is basically the goal, right? This is what he's kind of trying to achieve. And yeah, it's up to him how he does things, I suppose. Maybe he'll go the Snowden route. Maybe he'll go the DiCaprio route. It's up to him. Well, it really, he's in control of where he wants to go in life, which is really cool, and that's really what you want to do. But it's also how they silence people with power by once they get a voice loud enough for the world to hear, the mainstream. And remember, mainstream media may be dwindling, but it's still what, something like, and I'm 70% of the world's population, and I know that sounds like an odd figure to shout out, but I think maybe only 2 billion people on the earth are connected via the internet, but people have TVs. Billions of people have TVs. In India, China, they will have TVs, but they may not necessarily have the internet. And so mainstream media, and especially media in the countries that they're in, will be able to still control the flow. So imagine somebody like PewDiePie or somebody like him becoming very famous, as famous as Leonardo DiCaprio, to the 2 billion or so people who are on the internet, they know who he is. To the 50 or so million subscribers, they are more in tune with who he is. But those 5 odd billion people who only see a TV picture, all of a sudden now he becomes a celebrity. That's what celebrity really is. It's just super, people know who Leonardo DiCaprio is, and this is the moment in celebrity where, your role on the interpersonal, like 50 million people is a lot of people, but it's not actually in a global scale of there being 7.23 billion people. It's a fraction, very small. So, to be a household face that people recognise is a big thing. And, if a mainstream company like Wall Street Journal is going after you, it means they want you for big things. So it's up to him. And it's how well you play that hand as well, I suppose. But this is what really all the YouTubers are trying to do, to try and get that mainstream job, to try and get that superstardom. And to get there, it's all about kind of trying to snipe. So the people at the top trying to stay at the top, and the people at the bottom are trying to get to the top. And even people who talk about it accept that they aim for the low-hanging fruit, because that's all that they can grab, until they get more tools to get more higher up on the branches of I don't know, stupid fucking analogy. Anyway, people are using the whole New World Order Donald Trump thing as a kind of springboard for their platforms. And I think someone said it's not going to change their ad revenue if as long as they're getting clicks and as long as they're getting views, they're going to be getting revenue. So nobody really cares really what is being said. Some people are, or some people are at least pretending to be, to get more views, to get more popularity, to get more fame. And that's really what it is: recognition, fame. And of course the counter to recognition and fame is tearing someone down. So you go after them and you do smear them, and this is the Donald Trump saga of oh gosh, this is the golden boy here. He's never done anything wrong in his life, apart from maybe being a bit of a misogynist, and to be quite fair, that's pretty much nothing. Oh, for fuck's sake. Grabbing life by the pussy, that's pretty much like the dream of a lot of men out there, right? And women. In fact, the entire porn industry is based around that principle, so nobody can really judge. And this is the golden boy, essentially, right? So he can't do anything wrong. And yet the level of smear that they're going out after him is incredible. And yet, because he can do no wrong, it's just all water off a duck's back. So imagine someone like MIlo Yiannopoulos, who's not known necessarily as watertight as Trump is, yeah? And he gets sniped on this child thing. And it's really sad, because I completely understand what he's talking about. Talk about molestations and things like that, and how it warps your perception of sexuality, and he makes crude jokes about how the priests taught him how to give a good blowjob and stuff like that, right? And that's a coping mechanism, a way of dark humour of coping with what happened. But when I was 13, I was in a similar situation. And we can argue all we want really about how mature a brain is then or then, but all of the girls my age at 13 were sexually active. I wasn't really sexually active, apart from the kind of like interaction. What I would consider to be sexually active is like, obviously I was going to a boys' school, so I didn't consider what was happening to me to be like sexually active, just because it wasn't with girls, you see. Even though it was molestation, but it was still consensual. Do you see what I mean? It was still stuff like, that's okay, yeah, I like that. Maybe years down the line you do realise people have taken advantage of you, and you just try and kind of go, look, well, that was a building block in my life, and I will build on it for character, rather than say, oh, this is something that's holding me down. Say, this is something that's going to give me strength. And that's what MIlo did, and that's why he felt like he could talk about it, because in the kind of climate he comes from, where regardless of whether you like it or not, that's kind of like normal. In America it's very much not as prevalent, not as listened to, and it's very much swept under the rug more. So yeah, actually in England we've got a tough love approach to shit like that. It's a sad but true reality of, oh, you were abused, yeah, well, me too. Get over it, yeah, walk it off. it's fucking really, really snarky and shit, but that's another coping mechanism as well, of going, look, you know, we have all stuff, we've all been through the mill, yeah, so you don't get a special privilege card on that, right, because we've all been through that. So no, you don't get a pass, I'm sorry. Yeah, you've been through it, yeah, me too, yeah. So whatever. But in America it's completely different, and I think the way that they try to, this is how you tear someone down, is the way they try to actually take something and twist it, and that's a sociopathic kind of thing, right? Of twisting someone. So it's, you know, it's very typical as well of what people do when they're jealous of somebody, yeah, is they try to tear them down. They don't want these people to achieve fame or stardom. They don't want PewDiePie to be famous. They don't want MIlo to be famous, so they tear him down. And with the child molestation things, you know, it was just very easy for them to attack him on that level, because, you know, they're not very sophisticated intellectually, so nuance is lost on them completely. And he forgot that, you know, because he wasn't in England, and in England he could have said that and people would have gone, come on dude, like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but now you're older, you can see that that's wrong, and he can see that that's wrong, and everyone can see that that's wrong. But at the time when you're 13 years old and you're enjoying yourself, that's the key. Bit shit, true, nevertheless. And, you know, all your friends are doing it too, regardless of, you know, oh yeah, you know, this is something that is happening to a lot of people, right? So you have to think about that, and that's the kind of culture that we were brought up in England, right? not one of acceptance, but one of shared experience of those kinds of things happening and dealing with them and soldiering on. Essentially, just kind of going, okay, that's just something that happened to me, right? I still got work in the morning. So basically, that kind of thing in America is pandered to, basically, and this is what he's saying. Victim complex is like, oh, you're a victim, are you? Oh, you're a victim? No, actually, not a victim. Technically a victim, but actually more of a survivor. In that, you know, I survived it. I got through, and you know, like anything, you know, I was stuck in France and I had to hitchhike across France. Was I a victim of being, not having any money and getting stuck in the middle of France and having to hitchhike? Or was I, did I survive that, and did it make me a stronger person and culture me into how the world can be, in a lot of ways? Or, when it's raining and I'd forgotten my umbrella, am I a victim of it raining? Or, did I just survive it being a bit rainy? And it's levels, I know, it's not trivializing it, it's levels of juxtaposition shit of things that happen to you in your life, and you just kind of go, right, that's happened to me, and I'm gonna not let it affect me. I'm just gonna carry on with my life. But unfortunately, this is one of the cases, this is one of the instances in life where they will use it against you, and then you really do become a victim. And that's what's sad. But what's really fantastic is obviously he's come back stronger than ever, and he's like, whatever. But that's the kind of person he is. He's a survivor, and so are a lot of people like him, survivors. So when people try to tear him down, we just know it's that same kind of abuse. It's the same level of abuse. So, oh, you're trying to tear me down again. Guess what? You fucking can't. Like, I can survive, so fuck you. And it's the fuck you mentality that they, don't seem to understand. Is like, I survived, fuck you. And I think when you get this schism, I suppose, or between opposing ideologies, and you create your own enemy. So instead of dealing with it internally and kind of going, I have something inside of me that I need to deal with, and facing it inside of yourself and going, yeah, and critically accepting the flaws and faults in your own thinking and perception, you project it onto other people. And as soon as you do that, you create the enemy. And this is what they're doing to Trump. They are incapable of introvertedly introspection and kind of going, these are things that are happening inside of me. I have to critically think one way and the other, and I have to balance myself out. Instead, they kind of throw shit and hope it sticks, and then they kind of point and then they say, look at that shit, because they don't want it to be part of them. Because dealing with that would be much more difficult. It's so much easier to point the finger and go, that's wrong, rather than going, am I fucked up? Am I a fucked up person? And kind of going, shit, I am fucked up. I'm a fucked up person, and what is it that is fucking me up? Oh yeah, all of that shit. And then it's like, someone, like I can point at myself and go, you're fucked up. I know why you're fucked up as well, because you're fucked up, man. Like, what happened to you was fucked up, and I can laugh about it. But when someone sort of almost uses it against you and kind of goes, you know, you're fucked up. You go, yeah, I know. I'm fucked up, you know. I've had a lot of conversations with myself about how fucked up I am. And they go, yeah, well, you're fucked up and, you know, you deserve to die. All of a sudden, and this is the interesting thing, when it's someone pointing the finger at you and kind of going, you're a paedophile, all of a sudden that's warning bells from my perspective. That's like, oh really? Oh really? So you're flinging shit at me about that? I think that the lady doth protest too much. Like, because that's a huge bit of shit to throw at someone, right? So the person who's flinging it, I'm just saying, maybe might not be the person that's got the shit on them that has actually got the problem, but the person who's trying to throw it. Yeah? Transference is just a classic case of transference. That's it. So you will see this all the time, and you will understand this when it happens. And all you've got to say is, I survived you once, and I will survive you again. This is simple as that. And he survived he survived that abuse, and actually I think the shared experience between people who have been through sexual assaults and other things that relate directly to sexual abuse. No, I survived that, you know, and it is a bit of a shocker when someone, when you know, when you've been exposed to that level of abuse, and you know, you kind of, then someone points to you and go, you're a rapist, and you're like, wait, hold on a minute, no, I think you're confused there, and why are you pointing at me again? Because, what, hold on a minute, you know. So basically I think that's what's been on my mind, and what's really been kind of like filtering through the internet of things. I mean, I like to keep, I'm keeping quite a track of certain people, channels, things. Still don't really know how to work my YouTube channel. Don't really care one way or the other, because I know I actually have a shit ton of fucking issues. So I never expect to reach any kind of level of notoriety or fame. But then I also accept that I'm not doing this for that reason. I'm doing this, you know, for me as well. And anybody that does kind of like benefit from that is, you know, cool. So if I benefit from that, brilliant. If someone else benefits from that, even fucking better. And that's really what it comes down to. Yeah, and I think that's it, basically. I think I've just got to work on my editing skills, work on my video skills, and try and make, like, at least my videos a little bit more presentable, maybe. But until then, I'm just gonna put things out there and actually do that. And maybe I might talk about some other stuff too. Hopefully. I'd like to do other stuff, you know. Like, I did try once to do like book reviews, but that didn't really go down very well. And I think my ego got hurt. So I was like, oh no, my ego got hurt and nobody wants to see my book reviews, and I forgot that I was doing it for myself, and that was something that stopped me from continuing to do the book reviews or like the readings and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm gonna continue doing that basically, and yeah, just keep soldiering on really with my life. So cool, if you did kind of watch this video, then thanks, and bye.